Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to cover step number 5 of our 10 steps to buying a great home in Central Maryland. In this week's video, we're going to cover the beginning of what happens after your contract has been accepted for your new home. If you missed our past videos, take a look on our channel and take a look of our videos from the past 4 weeks where we talked about all of the steps during the home buying process leading up to now. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button so that you're in the know every time we drop a new video. So congratulations, you've been successful. Your offer has been accepted by the seller. Now you are on the clock. Just like the Ravens on draft day, you are on the clock. But what are we on the clock for? Well, that's a great question. So to give you a little background, Maryland is what is known as a buyer beware state. So beyond what a seller has to disclose to a buyer, which we talked about in last week's video, it's the responsibility of a buyer to perform their due diligence when purchasing a property. This means a buyer has the duty to have a property inspected and evaluated by professionals to determine if the property is in acceptable condition for you. The most basic way we do this is through a home inspection. This is something that's performed by a licensed home inspector, and the timeline for this inspection and all of our inspections is set out in our offer. So we only have a finite amount of time to get it done, usually sometime between 7 and 10 days. What we will do is we will coordinate the inspections so that they happen within that particular time frame. We also make sure that we attend each inspection, so even if you, the buyer, can't be there, somebody who's on your side is there. So let's talk for a minute about what a home inspection is and is not, because there's a lot of misconceptions around what they actually are. So a home inspection is a visual inspection of the home's structural and mechanical components. This means that the inspector cannot go breaking holes into anything, nor are they supposed to move things in the home to access the different parts of the home needed for the inspection. As your agent, we interface with the listing agent to make sure that they know when we're planning on having that home inspection and to make sure that all parts of the home are accessible during the inspection. An inspection is also not a warranty or a guarantee that things are going to work after you move in. Obviously, things happen, right? And even if something was working today, they can break tomorrow. We see this, in our life all the time. We're going to talk about how we mitigate that for you in a couple of weeks when we talk about home warranties. So make sure you tune in a couple of weeks when we talk about those and kind of how they work and why they're important. Another important thing to note is there's no such thing as a pass or fail home inspection. You, the buyer, is the only one that can decide if a home passes or fails its inspection. So during the inspection, the inspector is going to inspect as much of the home's structure that they can. They're going to look at the outside of the home. They're going to get up on the roof if it's possible for them to get up there, or if it's too far off the ground, they will use tools such as a drone to get up and fly around the roof and get very close so that they can take really good pictures and videos and get a good inspection of the roof and all things associated with it. On the inside of the home, they will also get up into the attic if possible, and they'll check the underside of the roof for any signs of leaks or moisture or anything like that. Now, every inspector kind of has their cadence or their routine to their inspection, and that's actually super important. Some inspectors start at the roof and work their way to the basement. Some inspectors like to start at the basement and work their way to the roof. And others have their own particular cadence. The important thing is we want to let them do their thing. Let them follow their cadence, because if we distract them, there's a possibility that they can miss something during your inspection, and we don't want that. Now, during the inspection, they're going to check and they're going to test all of the mechanical items in the home, so like the HVAC, furnace, all of those things, the appliances, as well as checking things like windows, electrical outlets, plumbing fixtures, and the like. As we go through the home, the inspector is also going to point out safety features of your new home, as well as talk to you about areas of concern or things to watch out for, or even potential maintenance items that you may need to do in the future. Once we get to the end of the inspection, the inspector is going to send us a report with all of their findings and information. Once we have their report, then we can actually sit down, review it, and talk about it. Now, in this report, it's going to consist of 3 sections. The first section is going to be items that are obviously broken, items that are in need of repair, or things that are safety hazards. The second section is usually items that are not quote-unquote wrong or an immediate hazard, but it's something that you should think about addressing sooner than later, because if you leave it for too long, then it will turn into an issue. And then the final section is the section for you about budgeting and home maintenance. This is the reason that even if they just built your home inspection is going to be about 25 to 30 pages in length. They will tell you that the life expectancy of your dishwasher is 6 to 8 years, so 6 to 8 years from now, you should plan on replacing that dishwasher. Now, as we review the inspection, we're going to determine if there are any items that are unsatisfactory to you, the buyer. Please keep in mind, cosmetic things don't count. So if you don't like the color that a room is painted, we're not asking a seller to change that. Now, once we go through the whole set of all of the document, then we're going to have one of 3 choices that you as the buyer are going to have to make. Choice number 1, you can be happy with the inspection the way it is, and we can just continue the process of buying your home. Choice number 2, you can be totally unsatisfied and beyond any repairs that the seller could make, and you can terminate the contract straight away. Or option number 3 is that we can go back to the seller and we can ask the seller to make some repairs to the home. Now, if we choose to negotiate for repairs, the way that it works is we get one chance to submit any and all requests to the seller in writing and for them to repair things on the property. So that means we want to make sure we get all of our inspections done before we go to the seller and ask them for repairs. Now, once we do, the seller then gets 5 days to decide what they would like to do. And a seller is going to have 4 choices with what they want to do. They can elect to repair everything that we ask for. They can elect to repair nothing that we ask for, or they can elect to repair some things and or give you a closing cost credit in lieu of doing some repairs. So we negotiate back and forth, and then once the seller has made a decision, you as the buyer will then have 2 days to decide if what the seller is offering is satisfactory to you. If it is satisfactory, then we proceed as usual. If it's not satisfactory, then we have one more opportunity to negotiate back with the seller. The difference is, this time around, we each get 2 days, and the seller is going to have the option to terminate the contract during this round. So during these negotiations, me as your agent or us as your agent are key here. We work for you, and we want to make sure that you're protected during this whole process. It can be a little bit of a stressful time for both the buyer and the seller. So we want to make sure that cool heads prevail, and we want to make sure that the voice of reason is there for you guys. As your agent, we work to help you guys make the best decisions possible for you and your family throughout this entire process. Now, aside from structural and mechanical inspections, there are several other inspections that can be done. Things like a well and septic inspection, which if you're buying a home that's on either a well or has septic, we 100% recommend that you get that done. Chimney inspections, pool and spa inspections, you can get oil tanks inspected, you can get mold testing, lead-based paint testing, radon testing, and so much more. As your agent, we strive to be a consultant for you to determine if these are some things that you want. But the bottom line is, if you're concerned about something, we're going to recommend that you get it inspected. Now, please keep in mind, these inspections are performed at the cost of the buyer, and they all range in price from a couple of $100s to potentially way more than that, depending on the size of the home and what's being inspected. Another thing that I want to make sure to note is there are some limitations to inspections or some things that can't be inspected due to a particular time of the year. So for example, if it's in the dead of winter, it's freezing outside, it's a little difficult to inspect an in-ground pool during that time. It's also difficult for a home inspector to inspect the air conditioner because if they run the air conditioning, they're going to damage the unit. So they can't do that. If there's anything like that, the inspector will note this in their report and they will tell you during the inspection. And then, at that point in time, it's going to be up to you, the buyer, if you're okay with deferring that inspection or whatever you'd like to do. Now, at the Jeremey Weiss Homes team, we have a few trusted inspectors that we recommend for our clients. Not all inspectors are created equal, and we want to make sure that you're safe in your new home without them being unnecessarily alarming to you. Also, our inspectors that we recommend offer discounts to public safety and healthcare employee clients, as well as to our military and veteran clients. Hopefully, this gives you guys a better idea of the due diligence that a buyer should be doing when purchasing a home here in Central Maryland. So tune in next week when we're going to talk about step 6 of buying a great home here in Central Maryland, and that is securing that mortgage. Things that are super important about the financing. So if you guys like our videos, you find them helpful and informative, please do us a favor. Please give us a thumbs up down there below our video. It just helps with YouTube and the algorithm, and it helps other home buyers like you who would like to see this same information get to see it. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Until next time, I'm Jeremy. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Have a great one.